Next up in chapter 3 of the book, talking about the direct method of entering into the phase, we'll be talking about the best time to make use of this method for your phase practice. And really, there's only like 3 possible options that you could potentially use it. So he breaks them down from like the easiest to what he considers to be the most advanced. So the best time to utilize these direct method kind of goes against what he said in his initial definitions of what these direct methods were, where he says you want to do them without having any prior sleep. But the most ideal time to try them is actually with what us lucid dreamers would just call wake back to bed, or basically what his deferred method was with the indirect techniques, where you want to sleep long enough that you have gotten finished through or got done with all of your deep stage 3, 4 non-REM sleep stuff. So like minimum 3 hours, but like 3 to 6 hours, wake up, stay awake for about 3 to 50 minutes, which is where it differs from the indirect techniques. Then as you're falling back asleep is when you want to be utilizing these different direct method techniques, which are actually going to be essentially the same thing as the indirect techniques with a little variation in there. So that's the most ideal time to do it. The second most ideal time to do it is initially going to sleep at night. As you're falling asleep, you want to be running through these techniques. And then what he considers to be the most advanced, or like the most difficult version, is doing it during a daytime nap. But to me, I don't really see why doing it during a daytime nap versus doing it initially going to sleep at night would necessarily be harder than each other, right? I mean, unless you're just so wide awake in the day that you have a hard time, falling asleep or taking a nap, then of course that would be a problem. But the same thing would go too if, when you lie down at night, maybe you have a hard time falling asleep, you stay awake in bed for like, an hour or two before you fall asleep. So that would also be a very hard time to go ahead and utilize these techniques. But nonetheless, the most ideal time to do it is, the classic lucid dreaming, wake back to bed stuff.